Rats with Team 4545 League analyzing the game between Darkflow and Midas. This was played in Team Event 53 in the 4th round, under 1800 section. So let's have a look. Oh, we got lag. Not too bad lag. Alright. I find this game particularly interesting because it's the second Roy Lopez this round that has seen white play an early d4 going off the main course. And in this, there was a game I just did a video for, Tobias Del Monte and Will C, and that game was slightly different. White had castled and black had played b5 and bishop e7, and then came d4 on the 7th move. So from that position, I'll just show you basically what happened. Castles, bishop e7. Well, I think he played b5 first. Yeah, here we go. Bishop e7 and then d4. And black ended up dropping a piece due to an error, and white didn't win the game like he should have. Go back and look at the game, because apparently this line is for real. This is now the second time, and it's an older, outdated line, but if people are bringing it back, they're finding new life in old wine or something. There's an old saying like that, new blood in old wine, I don't know. So let's just go back to the basic position. Here, as I said, white is playing a d4 earlier. Now, I don't know all the theory here, but I do believe that what black played was not the best choice, and let me show you his move, then we'll discuss some alternatives. Okay, bishop e7, if you're trying to transpose into something you're familiar with, that's probably not the best way to do it, because it just gives white all kinds of new options. But let's just consider another candidate move too before we continue with the game, and that's b5. What does and that's almost what happened, but not quite. Now, if white plays bishop b3 here, and there's nothing making him play bishop b3 here, he could try to take his pawn, but if black plays bishop e7 after castles, we're in the game Tobias Del Monte and Will C. I just wanted to point that out. Okay, so reverting, black has some other interesting candidate moves here he could try. I don't really like knight takes d4, because after knight takes d5, that knight on c5 is a little loose, but it can get tricky. Black can play stuff like bishop c5, so you guys will have to do your homework on this stuff. I don't know the lines. It just seems it could become a tactical slugfest really quick here. I don't know. And even to consider maybe is c5 with the idea of b5 and eventually getting c4 in, although we've still got to cover that knight, trying to trap the bishop. But knight takes d4 is a candidate move. The other one's being knight takes e4, because black is doing that often in Roy Lopez Open defense, but usually his bishop is on e7 when he does that. But that's a candidate move, and taking this pawn is a candidate move. The idea that black is trying to employ here is if white plays knight e5, e5, the knight can attack e5, maybe by knight g4. But you guys will have to dig up the analysis on this and do some work. I can't solve that in a 15-minute video. So let's take a look at what black does. And now white castles. And now it seems like here's a perfect chance to go into the game of Tobias Del Monte and Will C. Right? Just play b5, and that's what black does. But white finds a new move here. He takes. And on e5, now the position changes. Now, does black want to get double pawns? That might be one reason why he didn't. First, let me show you what black did here, then we'll analyze it. Okay, and at the moment, there's nothing wrong with that move until we've analyzed it. Let's consider the other candidate moves in a second. But, okay, suppose we go ahead and take it. Even though we're trained not to capture pawns towards the side of the board, let's look at what it does do. Number one, it opens up the B file for black to operate on. Now I'm not saying that's good, but it does that. Number 2, it acquires the bishop pair. Number 3, it starts activating the black game. Okay, black now has a slight lead in development. White has one piece out and he's castled. White can't play moves like bishop f4 because b2 is going to hang. Okay, and if white considers knight c3, black may return the bishop pair and cripple those white pawns. I'm not saying he would, but he might. Or black even has a tricky move on knight c3. Now we utilize these isolated and doubled pawns, and we play some tricks of our own. And then we get rid of the double pawn and mess up white's pawn structure, so then it matches. So this looks perfectly fine for black. Okay, so what does white do? If he can't move his bishop or his knight, and he can't even put it on d2 necessarily because we still have a3, right? Okay, so what else does white try? Well, he can try to run a pin, maybe because black's not castled. This could be the proverbial fly in the ointment. Okay, if you take it, you do walk into a pin, and let's see, we got to do it with the rook. The point being that you want to play f4. So let's see. Yeah, this could be the proverbial fly in the ointment, unfortunately, unless I'm missing something. But it was a nice try. But if he does play e5, oops, if he does play e5, let's see, let's try it with a bishop instead. And now when do we get anywhere with this check? No, we sure don't. Okay. So unless I'm missing something, I guess e5 kind of spoils the party a little bit, but only a little bit. Black still has the bishop pair. Black's king is reasonably safe. He's going to get castled. White doesn't have any kind of aggressive attack against it. If the knight moves to c3, black still has pawn to a3. That move's not going away. And you know, black can fianchetto the bishop on b7 and have a nice long diagonal, and that bishop is unopposed because white's like bishop has been traded off. Corresponding bishop, like bishop, white squared bishop, all kinds of names for it. Okay, so let's revert to the main line. What else could black try here? It could try knight g4. Now, what this does is it protects the knight. Knight's no longer under attack, and now this bishop is under attack. So white has to deal with that, right? And now if you want to get the pawn back this move, it's there for the taking. If you don't, maybe white will play bishop f4 and try to hang on to it. So let's just look at it, okay, and see what kind of possibilities exist. Okay, white could try queen h5 here, but black has knight g6, and he's going to get ready to castle. If white tries f4, he's trying to get a pawn roller going. Ooh, wait, I missed something. Queen d5. Actually, though, that's not a major issue because, oh yeah, it is. See, e5 is under attack. f7 is covered, but the main thing you're looking at is taking on f7 with mate. So, ouch. Just don't have enough here. Okay, so much for that idea. There are some tricks in here that black has to be careful about. He can't just take that. But suppose he, like I say, let's just develop a piece. Okay, the threat is still to come take it. Queen d5 doesn't have a lot of sting. It's not something black need to worry about, but maybe Now h3, but then black's got some discoveries. I mean, this gets extremely tactical. You can take on this square now because the... No, you can't. I knew you could do this because you're guarding the bishop. So now the queen's got to flee, and then you're going to grab this bishop, and then you got the two... you got the bishop pair back again. And although you may end up with some double pawns, let's see. Queen d3. Take. Now, where are you going to go? You can't go there. You're down a pawn. And then, oh look though, even though you have double pawns, black has two bishops. And it's a game. You know, I think it's better than what black ended up with. And like I say, I'll just put some alternatives here and let you guys go do the homework. Hopefully my ideas will help when you look at the book lines, if any of these are book lines, because I really don't know. And this seems like a perfectly good move too. And that was the other candidate move we didn't discuss. But what to continue now? Let me show you what black did first. He castled, and that seems logical. But what other moves does he have here? It's good to get the king castle, but what about... Oh, he can't play d5. It just falls. Ouch, okay. Black would like to get d5 in. That's his freeing thematic move in double king pawn openings. When black can get d5 in any double king pawn opening and get it in safely, he's usually equalized. That's just a good general rule. Okay. Usually. There's always an exception. I just said usually. Okay. So now white gets... well, let's see. There was one other possibility here. It's a little risky. Is to anchor the knight in with f5. What's risky about it is that the fact that you have opened up this diagonal for the bishop. It's going to be kind of hard for black to get castled here. But it is thematic in some variations and would require further analysis. And that, of course, is beyond the scope of this video. Okay, so castles. And this seems perfectly good. Now f5 is not an option because the pawn is pinned, so black's got to deal with that. And here we see something similar to what we had in Tobias Del Monte, and we'll see. There was a difference though. In that one, white lost a piece, black lost a piece because of the mate threat. But black doesn't have this worry here. So my first feeling is black could be okay out of here. But the problem is that white just gets this vice grip on the position here. He just gets more space, and it's hard to see how black gets activated. f4 is just a great move. And now white just got this nice boardroom. He's pretty much got most of the fourth rank at his disposal, and black is operating pretty much on the first two ranks, and that's it. Now, there's a check here for what it's worth, but there's not much else there. So white just takes that option, takes the check away, gets a piece developed, and black unpins the knight. You know, that knight's got to find a better way to get in the game. But again, here, white's getting his pieces out, and black isn't. Now, I always stress development. Black can develop the bishop on c8 right now. I think he does, but it's still not clear how he's going to get his queen in the game. So we've got to find a plan for black at some point. And the only thing I can think of is to play king h8 at some point so you can get f6 in and try and challenge that white center. And hopefully for some exchanges to get a little breathing room. That's about the only viable plan I can suggest. And maybe he could have even done it last move, but let's try it this move. What's white going to do? Maybe he can get away with f5. I don't know. Then maybe black gets some freedom with bishop g5. I don't know. Something for you guys to analyze. Knight e4 certainly looks like a tasty move to play. Just puts the knight on a good square and takes some of the sting of f6 away. So maybe black needed to do king h8, a move back. Let's back it up. Okay, just keep the knight pinned and play king h8, and then on knight c3 play f6. Now we're not fearing knight e4 as much because black will just take and get a little liquidation here, and he's got some breathing room here. I'll show you. Okay. You can take on f1 if you want. You don't have to, but you can. But you can also move the rook and threaten e5. Black's game is reasonable here. This might have been his other choice, but he didn't do it. Like I say, something for you guys to take home and look at. Don't expect me to solve it all. You got to work. I'll just show you the ideas to get you jump started. But now, kind of what's happening now. White's got only one piece left undeveloped, and that's his queen rook. And Black can't develop his queen. That's the problem here. He doesn't have any way to get it developed. I guess he's got to try for d6 at some point, but he can't because c6 then becomes a problem. So if he couldn't get f6 in, maybe find a way to get d6 in a little earlier. You can go back and look at that. So here he looks like he's trying to get d6 in. He's securing the knight on c6 a little bit better. Now is this okay? So maybe this is the time to play d6. He didn't do it. Can he get away with it? Okay, the knight on c6 is covered. What's White going to do? If he does nothing, Black will likely take on e5 and have a little breathing room, okay? And if White takes, then it seems to me like Black's got just a wee bit more breathing room here. He just doesn't look as congested as he was. So this might have been an alternative. I can't say, I'm not seeing any fundamental flaw with it right off the top of my head. White can still do okay with knight e4 at some point. That just threatens to take on d6 and isolate a black pawn. Black may have to stop and step back, and then White can just continue his development, and maybe Black's still a little suffocated, but at least he's maybe got a little fighting chance here. He can go about with his plan of knight a5 and trade off a bishop, and just an example, knight a5, and here's what I was thinking, and what I like to do just to put Black on the move is what I say, burn a move, get a move played that we may not want to play, but it puts the move on Black's shoes. Black can be playing stuff like c6 with the idea that the rook comes over to help out on the king side, and that's not his only best move. Knight c4, well, you got to be careful. If you play knight c4 instead of c6, White has a trick of knight f6 check and queen takes on b7. So, but then Black's got some counterplay. But let's just look at it. I see something here. Watch this. This is kind of cute. Probably a mistaken analysis on my part. Okay, knight f6 check, takes. Let's see, but yeah, you just pick this guy off, and the bishop will come over here and back up to b6. Anyway, there's all kinds of possibilities. You just have to look a little bit. But knight a5, just it kind of solves the congestion that Black had by liquidating some pieces, but it doesn't solve what's left and that's the king side. And then here, unfortunately, White can't play, or Black can't play knight c4 because his rook hangs, and White just got this huge boardroom advantage, and there's not much Black can do. He's just squeezed to death here. In this game, this move just ends it. White now just has a simple tactic. Pause the video, White to play and do the best he can. Okay, if you've resumed the video, you found... Oh, I guess maybe not yet. Okay, sorry. Okay, so at this point, yeah, there's the point. Now, White to play and do the best he can. And sorry, I wasted your time looking for something on the other one. Okay, this is the trick. And then pick up the exchange, and eventually Black realizes he's going to lose this, and the game is over. Now, I didn't pay much attention to the time here. Looks like Black moved a little quickly. But like I say, this d4 line in the Ruy Lopez is now presented twice in this event, and people are playing it, and if you're not prepared, someone's going to play it against you, and somebody's going to beat you, and then maybe 6 months from now, you discover these videos, you go back and you find them, and you go, "Aw, rats." Yeah, that's my handle. Aw, rats. That's why it's there, because why I made it. It's kind of a joke about all the things that just didn't quite work out like we wanted. Aw, rats. Okay, thanks so much for your time. I will be making another video soon, and take care. Bye.